that stretched too far, carrying questions I couldn't set down.
But even when everything spun off course, your outline stayed fixed in my mind, like a marker I follow.
And every turn pulled me back to you, not by force, but by that pull I couldn't explain.
You're the point I return to, even when the world tilts sideways. You're the steady road sign in a landscape that won't sit still. You're the one place I choose to stand.
After everything shifts, I still aim for you.
I drifted through halls filled with unfinished thought,
trying to outrun things I didn't want to face.
Yet there you were, unmoving, like someone waiting at the end of a long, uneven track.
And without asking, you gave me a space where I didn't have to pretend I was fine.
You're the point I return to, even when the world tilts sideways. You're the steady road sign in a landscape that won't sit still. You're the one place I choose to stand.
After everything shifts, I still aim for you.
Even when I lose direction,
I look for the trace of you.
and no matter what tries to pull me away, my stride finds its way back.
You're the point I return to, even when the world tilts sideways.
You're the steady road sign in a landscape that won't sit still. You're the one place I choose to stand.
After everything shifts, I still aim for you. I walk through days lined with unanswered lines. Faces I passed felt like unnamed signs. Then your footsteps crossed mine without warning, turning quiet corners into something worth holding.
You didn't ask for stories carved inside me.
You just stood there, steady as a porch light glow. Porch light is allowed, not on your band list.
Standing with you
Rewrites where I came from. Every old chapter shrinks when your hand meets mine. You anchor me stronger than any old noise. By your side, I see no way behind me.
I carry names that once pulled me sideways, stories I never thought I'd outgrow someday.
But you looked at me like I wasn't defined by anything caught before your eyes met mine. You didn't search for reasons hidden in me. You just stayed close, simple and clear. Standing with you rewrites where I came from. Every old chapter shrinks when your hand meets mine. You anchor me stronger than any old noise. By your side, I see no way behind me. I'm not the same as I was before your name reached mine, and nothing behind me can touch where I am now.
You pulled my world into clearer lines, not by fixing anything, just by standing near.
Standing with you rewrites where I came from. Every old chapter shrinks when your hand meets mine. When I walk with you, the weight behind me thins by your side. The past means nothing. I trace the lines where hope once surfaced.
You reach across the quiet space between our echoes.
Your fingertip finds mine, a silent promise stirring in the air. I've watched the dust dissolve into years of shifting pages. Every dawn you carried me through storms I thought would break my frame.
Now I offer you my steady steps, my ragged courage.
I lean on your resolve when the path ahead tilts uncertainly.
Together when the ground trembles under uncertain skies, we'll hold the line, undimmed,
unshaken.
Together hold my hand tightly through every winding chapter, under every turning cloud.
If you soften your fear,
I'll carry your weight. If you lose your way, I'll guide you home.
I've carried silence heavier than stones beneath my ribs.
I've worn regrets like outdated coats in bitter winters.
But your voice was the lantern leading me through uncertain nights.
Your breath, the steady rhythm that coaxed peace into my restless sighs. When doubts gather like restless seas in moonless nights, we'll stand firm, two hearts rooted in one quiet vow. Together hold my hand tightly through every shifting page, under every turning cloud.
If you falter in the dark, I'll be your pulse. If you lose your way, I'll be your path. I used to wander, lost among shadows of regret. I used to weigh every step with fear of breaking, but with your hand in mine, the road ahead feels certain. No distance too great, no silence too hollow to cross. Together hold my hand tightly through each rising tide, under every shifting sky. If you tremble in the wind, I'll brace your spine. If you fade inside, I'll ignite your spark. Stay close, stay with me.
I didn't know I was missing anything until you stepped into my ordinary days.
You walked in with that steady grin, cut through my clutter like you owned the place. I'd been running circles in my own head, but you read me faster than I could chase.
You asked nothing but stayed through the noise. Sat with my mess like it was no big deal. I didn't say much, but you called my signals. You marked the things I tried to conceal.
Every cross line pulled us closer in, and it felt so simple, strangely true. I didn't plan any of this at all, but somehow everything led to you.
You matched the parts of me I thought were useless, and you turned them into something steady. You stand exactly where my doubts crumble, as if we were built to fit already.
Someone asked me how I figured it out. I'll say this straight without overthinking. I found my other half in you, the piece that kept my whole world sinking. You don't fix me, you just stand beside, letting me sort the chaos in my spine. Some days I wobble, you chill with me, like we're two misfits sharing one line.
I'm not perfect and you see that clear, but you don't flinch or ask me to pretend. You keep your pace right next to mine, like your path was carved to meet my bend.
Every skip step turned into a cue, every misread story found a clue. I wasn't searching, not even close, but somehow I still ended up with you.
You matched the parts of me I thought were useless, and you turned them into something steady. You stand exactly where my doubts crumble, as if we were built to fit already.
Ask me again how I figured it out. There's nothing fancy I had to do. I found my other half in you, the side of me I never knew.
I push people out without meaning to,
But you move closer like you understood the cue.
and when I stumble through my tangled thoughts,
You stand firm like you're built to guide me through. You align the corners of my scattered plans, turning chaos into something stable. You stand where my doubts used to grow, proving connection is more than a fable.
If someone asked why I choose you,
I'll answer without dressing it new. I found my other half in you, and suddenly everything fits like it knew.
so if you look beside me, I'm already home. You pull me in when my thoughts run out of line, reading signals I try so hard to hide. Your hand on my shoulder steadies the noise inside, like you trace the map I fail to show.
You catch the twitch I make when I'm unsure, calling it out with a grin I can't ignore. You talk me down with words that feel like shelter, the kind I didn't know I needed yet.
Every time I start slipping into doubt, just say my name like you're clearing out the fog, and I fall into the quiet of your certainty. In your eyes, I'm the version of myself I keep hoping to be. Even my cracks look like something worth holding on to. In your eyes, the storms inside me finally sit still. And somehow, with you, I'm okay. Even on the days I'm not. You read the way I zip my jacket too tight, saying I'm guarding things that deserve space. You laugh softly and I start loosening my grip, letting things fall where they need to land.
You tilt your head when I talk too fast, noticing what I leave between the lines. You call it real, and suddenly I breathe again, like I'm stepping into a room with open windows.
When I freeze up, staring at the floor, you lift your chin, as if to tell me I've got you, even when you don't say a word. In your eyes, I'm the one who gets back up even when I feel undone. Everything scattered in me starts lining up straight. In your eyes, I could stand without bracing for impact. With you, I'm okay, even when the world insists I'm not. So here I am, learning to see myself the way you see me. Not flawless, just worth
Staying for, and I'm right here, steady as the ground beneath your feet. In your eyes, I finally look like someone who belongs somewhere. I stop running from the parts of me you refuse to turn away from.
In your eyes, I'm the calm I've been chasing for years.
And with you, I'm okay. kept walking past empty cafes, pretending the quiet inside was fine.
Then you pulled out a chair beside me, and the whole room felt like it opened wide.
No script, no warning, just a simple sit with me a while.
And somehow that small start shifted everything I thought I knew. You showed up right when my guard was high, yet you walked in with calm conviction. Some arrivals come exactly when they're meant to. That's the line that keeps me grounded. Now standing beside you feels like a truth I didn't realize I'd been waiting for. I wasn't searching for anything new, kept myself buried in busy routines.
Then your voice cut through the noise, and every excuse I had fell quiet.
You asked the simplest question, yet somehow it carried weight.
I answered before I thought, as if my chest already knew the path.
You showed up right when my guard was high, yet you walked in with calm conviction. Some arrivals come exactly when they're meant to. Keeps echoing through my decisions now. Standing here with you feels like the sign I never realized I'd been hoping for.
Sometimes two paths cross without planning. Sometimes the right presence steps in when we finally slow down enough to notice.
You steadied me without pushing,
Gave space without stepping away.
you stepped in right when I stopped pretending, and you stayed long enough for me to see clear. What arrives late to others can still be perfect for us. That line sits with me every single day. With you beside me, I finally understand
Why some connections wait for their moment to appear.
stay here beside me a while.
Stay here beside me a while. I kept your jacket from that late night walk, still carrying the scent of your cologne and quiet jokes. You traced your thumb across my wrist that night, as if mapping something you feared might slip away.
You looked at me like someone trying to keep a picture from blurring, as if holding on too loosely would still wouldn't matter.
If two people choose the same road twice, it's not an accident, it's intention.
And if my voice still reaches you, trace it back to where we
Stood unafraid to begin again. Let this chapter stretch further than we planned.
replay the moment you leaned on my shoulder, not from fatigue, but from something you couldn't explain. You said you weren't good at keeping people close, yet your hand kept finding mine without trying.
Maybe two uncertain people can build something steady if neither walks away first. If two people choose the same road twice, it means the pull is stronger than doubts. And if we still stand on that same bridge, let this page stretch further than expected.
When I think of us, I don't see ending.
I see unfinished sentences waiting for breath.
We keep returning.
Maybe that's our answer. Let it guide us past everything we feared. And if this past still calls our names, let our pages stretch far beyond the last line. Keep writing. Saw you leaning by the doorway, tying your jacket unaware. Your eyes caught mine for a second, and something inside me leaned closer.
You walk in calm strides through a crowded street. Every gesture of yours feels quietly certain. No rush, no show, just natural grace. And I'm pulled toward you like a page toward a marker. Every ordinary scene turns striking whenever I stand beside you.
Even the smallest glance from you feels like a picture frame without trying.
You are the part of my story that stays vivid without effort.
I keep returning to that simple truth.
No matter the day, it pulls me back to you.
You are the part of my story that stays vivid without effort. You laugh in that half-tilted way, and it puts order to my restless thinking. Your hand on mine settles the world as if everything finally fits its place.
Your presence shifts the air around me. Not loud, not forced, just real.
Every step with you feels grounded. Every glance from you feels sure.
And in the quiet corners of my thoughts, you're still the highlight that stays pure. You are the part of my story that stays vivid without effort.
I replay it each night, that simple truth.
Whatever comes next, it circles back to you.
You are the part of my story that stays vivid without effort. You carry a calm that steadies me. You walk through my world like someone who knows where everything belongs. And somehow that includes me.
You make the world clearer than it was, and I keep choosing you without needing a reason. You are the part of my story that stays vivid without effort.
I hold on to that line like a vow.
Year after year it still rings true now.
You are the part of my story that stays vivid without effort.
In your gaze I see reasons that steady my steps.
I catch a glance across the kitchen glow. You tilt your grin like you're letting me in, and somehow the room feels wider than before. You hand me a mug warm on my palms, and I sense a world built from tiny signals you never brag about, but always show.
You lean on my shoulder by the grocery aisle, pointing at snacks you said you stole once as a kid. We laugh too loud, strangers stare, but you don't mind. You bump my arm on purpose again, and I catch myself wishing the walk to the parking lot didn't end so soon. Pull me in with small gestures, a raised brow, a quick nod, that half smirk you do, and each one stacks up like proof that I'm standing exactly where I should. My happiness sits quietly in your eyes, a place I visit without packing a thing. You lift the weight of ordinary days just by glancing my way as if it's nothing. Fix my collar when we're running late, and you argue about who drives tonight.
You talk big plans and forget half of them, and I tease you until you argue back.
But even your stubborn bits feel like threads that stitch a steady pattern around me. You slide your hand through my jacket sleeve, saying it's cold, though we both know it's not. You just want an excuse to stay closer. I roll my eyes, but inside I grin. You turn my plain routines into stories I never knew I wanted to keep. Every tiny gesture you toss my way feels like a signal I didn't request but needed anyway. Sits quietly in your eyes, a place I visit without packing a thing. You lift the weight of ordinary days just by glancing my way as if it's nothing. My happiness sits quietly in your eyes, a place I visit without packing a thing. You lift the weight of ordinary days just by glancing my way as if it's nothing.
When you look at me like that, I forget the rest of the room exists.
You You steady me without saying a word, just nudging your chin like you're checking I'm fine.
My happiness sits quietly in your eyes, a place where my worries shrink without fuss. You turn plain minutes into something warm just by aiming your glance across the dust. You look at me once more, and I breathe easier than before. I met you on a day that felt too ordinary to change anything, but somehow everything tilted, like someone adjusted the picture so I'd finally see you.
You walked in with that quiet certainty, and the room rearranged itself around you, as if it already knew we'd end up here.
I kept my plans simple, but you arrived with a way of looking at me that made my old timelines irrelevant. I wasn't searching for anyone,
yet here you were. I wasn't prepared either, but the first time you laughed at something I said, it felt like a sign I didn't know how to read. Still I followed it,
and every step kept leading back to you, like a pattern I didn't realize I'd been tracing.
You weren't part of the plan,
yet somehow you became the anchor to it.
and nothing before this feels relevant anymore.
If the universe ran simulations, this would be the version it kept, the one where two people collide and everything suddenly makes sense. If someone asked for a perfect outcome, this is the draft they choose, a connection written so cleanly it feels intentional.
Turn the mundane into proof, the kind that doesn't need big scenes. Just the way you listen, the way you stay, the way your presence settles the noise I never admitted I carried.
You made every ordinary second feel like it was part of something bigger without forcing anything. You showed up consistently, not with grand gestures, but with the type of steadiness people don't realize they need. I didn't expect this, neither did I. Yet here we are, rewriting the outline. If the universe ran simulations, this would be the version it kept, the one where two people collide and everything suddenly makes sense. If someone asked for a perfect outcome, this is the draft they choose, a connection written so cleanly.
If someone replayed my past, they'd see the exact second everything shifted toward you.
And if they rewound yours, they'd see how naturally our paths aligned,
as if the world nudged us inch by inch
toward this version of us.
If the universe ran simulations, this would be the version it kept, not the almost, not the trials, but this, the best case scenario.
Two people meeting at the right intersection, at the right chapter, with the right willingness to choose each other again and again.
If someone asks what alignment looks like, we'll point to this
and say, the universe got it right this time. was walking through days that felt borrowed, moving from one quiet corner to another, trying to name an emptiness that arrived before you ever did.
I kept telling myself I was fine, yet every quiet hour had your silhouette in it, even though I had never seen your face.
You stepped into my ordinary night, like someone I'd known but couldn't place. Your voice carried a pull I couldn't turn from, as if something older than us had written this part.
I noticed how your hand shook slightly when you tried hiding what you carry inside. I wasn't looking for anyone, yet I kept moving closer without meaning to.
I don't know what drew me past my guard, but something in your presence rearranged the room.
And I didn't step back, even when it felt too much too soon. Two strangers pulled in by a pull we never named, as if the road waited for us long before we stepped on it.
And that's how I knew this wasn't chance.
It felt like something had been calling us in the same direction.
You told me you'd build walls taller than your height, yet somehow I walked in without knocking. Not because I forced my way, but because you were already opening the door.
I noticed how you tried to act steady, though your eyes said you were holding too much. I wasn't planning to stay, yet here I am, still choosing your side of the room. Maybe we were carried here by something we didn't understand. Maybe the path was waiting, with our names written under the dust. Two strangers pulled in by a pull we never named, as if the road waited for us long before we stepped on it.
And now I see the shape of my future standing in front of me.
And somehow it feels like I've been heading your way for years.
When you arrived, everything in me shifted, not like thunder, but like a door unlocking itself.
And when I reached for you, it felt less like a step forward and more like coming back to where I should have been.
We were brought together by a pull that lived in us long before we met, proving that some connections begin long before the first hello. And I'm not running from it.
I'm standing right here with you.
Whatever led me toward you. Thank you for answering back. to keep pieces of my story out of sight,
hiding the parts I thought would drive someone away.
you walked in, calm as a gentle step on old wooden floors,
And somehow
nothing in me felt forced anymore.
you notice the way I tap my thumb when I'm unsure.
You laugh softly when I rush my words again.
You said don't fix what isn't broken in you.
And something inside me shifted slow but real.
I'd spent years wearing masks that never fit right, afraid someone would point out the seams. But you sat with me through the awkward pauses, and the version of me I used to hide stepped forward. With you, I am truly me, a version I once thought no one would want to see.
Your steady presence turns my quiet into clarity.
With you, I am truly me,
Not edited, not filtered, just real.
you understood the stories behind my silence,
Not judging the parts I stumble, trying to explain.
you held space for the person I'm still becoming, and that patience built something I trust.
I thought I needed to shrink myself to fit someone's frame,
But you said there was nothing wrong with the shape I carry, and that simple sentence felt like a doorway opening,
a place I could finally stand tall.
with you I am truly me, the side I tucked away finally breathes easy.
You don't ask me to switch pieces of who I am.
With you I'm truly me,
Unmasked, unpolished, yet welcomed completely. In a world that keeps asking us to adjust ourselves, you remind me there's space for the unedited version. And for the first time, I don't shrink in my own skin.
there's a calm in you that steadies my restless mind.
Not by changing me,
But by letting me stand exactly as I am. With you I am truly me, not trimmed down, not rearranged, just honest.
every part I once hid finds room beside you.
With you I am truly me, and that truth sits warmer than anything I've known. Just you,
And the person I can finally allow myself to be. Kept my guard tight like a locked front gate, counting every footstep, scared of misplacing peace. Then your quiet patience walked beside my chaos, turning my restless nights into something steady to lean on.
You didn't ask for much, just a space where we could breathe without pretending.
Somehow that simple thing pulled my world into a place I could stand still. You're the only ground that doesn't shake. You're the calm in a room full of noise. You're the hand I reach for without thinking.
You're the one place I stay without wondering why.
You're where I stay.
You're where I stay. I wasn't searching for meaning in small routines, yet you turned the ordinary into something safe to return to. Every small glance told me more than speeches ever could. And your warmth settled in places
I never understood before. You never tried to fix my jagged edges, just walk beside them without pulling away. And in that quiet honesty, I found the place my steps stopped wandering. You're the only ground that doesn't shake. You're the calm in a room full of noise. You're the hand I reach for without thinking.
You're the one place I stay without wondering why.
Right where I stay, right where I stay. You never had to prove anything, you just showed up. And suddenly I wasn't drifting anymore.
And that was enough. More than enough.
You're the only ground that doesn't shake. You're the calm in a room full of noise. You're the hand I reach for without thinking.
You're the one place I stay without wondering why.
Right where we stay. Walk through days stacked heavy on my shoulders, carrying thoughts that twisted me around. You stepped in with your quiet kind of courage, turning all the noise into safer ground.
You said I didn't have to stand there trembling, trying to act like everything was fine. You placed your hand across my restless motion, saying let me hold the weight with mine. And every time the world grows loud, you steady me without a sound. You pull the edges back in place, no rush, no push, just honest space. You stand where the chaos stops, when my scattered mind finds room to breathe. You are the quiet corner I lean toward when everything starts pulling apart.
used to brace myself for every moment, waiting for something sharp to cut right in. But you showed me steady can be simple, a place where trembling doesn't have to win.
When I stumble into storms inside me, you got me back without a single claim. You never asked me to be flawless, just to stand beside you without shame. And once again the world grows loud, but you remind me I'm allowed to slow my breath and loosen fear.
You're proof I'm not alone in here.
You stand where the chaos stops, when my scattered mind finds room to breathe. You are the quiet corner I lean toward when everything stops pulling apart.
I never needed someone to fix me, just someone who wouldn't run. When the world pressed too hard, you stayed, and that changed everything.
You showed me calm wasn't something distant, it was standing right in front of me.
Stand where the chaos stops, so my scared mind finds room to breathe. You are the quiet corner I lean toward when everything starts pulling apart. I remember the night you showed up at my door, with no grand speech, just your steady presence.
You didn't ask for anything, you just stayed long enough for the noise inside me to settle.
You never asked me to be perfect, you only asked me to be honest. And somehow that simple request changed the way I stood in every room after.
You made every ordinary minute a kind of anchor,
holding steady when everything around us kept shifting.
You taught me that standing beside someone is a decision you make again
and again.
You showed me that keeping your word is louder than anything you could ever claim.
You could ever claim.
You didn't try to fix every crack in me,
You simply stayed long enough for me to trust my own strength.
and that patience, more than any gesture, felt like the rarest gift anyone ever handed me.
And I learned from you that loyalty is built on smaller things than people say, showing up on the days when nothing is pretty and choosing to remain.
Stood through every quiet test, not with grand words, but with steady steps beside mine.
that standing beside someone is a decision you make again
and again.
You showed me that keeping your word is louder than anything you could ever claim.
You could ever claim. I never needed grand promises, only the proof you kept giving.
And you gave it in every quiet way that mattered.
You taught me the meaning of loyalty, not in speeches, but in every steady step. You turned ordinary days into something I could trust with both hands.